I'm Chip, and today we're going to do a complete overhaul of the Whirlpool direct drive transmission. Any of the parts you're going to need along with the schematic are going to be linked below, and let's get right to it.
What we have here is a fully disassembled Whirlpool style direct drive transmission. Here's your cast iron case with a worm gear in it that's driven by the electric motor, and it meshes to this eccentric gear right here. And just for right now, we're going to reassemble this in a minute, but let me point out the parts. This is really the drive part of it right here, and this right here, all these pieces right here are part of your neutral drain kit, and it consists of a spin gear. This is part of the spin gear, which meshes to this and drives the clutch right here. But these are the parts. This is the part that makes it spin. Okay, this is the part that drives the agitator. You have your shaft and all the different parts. This is going to be the agitator cam and the cam follower, and all of this stuff. This is the top part of it, and all of this stuff is assembled right down here. And you have these two C-clips that hold all of this together. So to put this together, it's good to have a diagram, and I'm going to have a link down there in the comments to find all this. Now the steel ball and the thing are right here, but they're separate. So we're going to assemble this agitator cam back in here. So what we need to do is we want to put the cam thrust washer on, and then we can put the intermediate ring on. And then we want to put a C-clip on. There's a groove right here, and we're going to put a C-clip in that. And you want to be careful that it doesn't go all the way across the shop when you push this down. We have the wrong one. One's smaller than the other. I'm not sure. Here we go. There we go. So now we'll put the agitator cam in first. And that thrust washer fits right there in that groove. Like so. Then the cam follower goes in. It fits just like so. We have this large washer. Fits like that. We need our agitator gear, and it fits with this part right here down. Okay, and now one of these goes on the, and you have to have it in this configuration because the spring is going to fit on this. So you want it like this, not the opposite way. So the spring's going to sit on it, and we drop the spring on, and we have this one, and it goes the opposite way. Now we have to put the other C-clip on, and this is a job. You don't have a way to hold this back. Can get it started, and there we go. Now we have it assembled, and this is the way that this should work. Is this cam should slide and push the gear up like that. So we have this assembled. Now we want to take this, and what we're going to do, you'll see these two pieces right here. Here's a ball, and here's almost a washer. But here's a dimple in this plate right here. This ball fits down in the bottom of this hole, and this plate fits, but you want to get that dimple on top of that ball, just like that. And now the agitator shaft fits in, and the cam follower is going to fit in this slot right here, just like so. Now we want to turn our agitator gear around to this side right here, and you need to note, you can see right here there's a line on that tooth, and that's there for a purpose, because when you get this assembled, that line needs to fit between these two lines on this rack. So what we're going to do next, we're going to fit the eccentric gear in there. It fits over this shaft, just like so, and you can turn that worm gear. I'm going to turn it where get everything this direction. Now this is the shift actuator. It goes on this like this, and you can see how this works is when your motor's turning one way, this little protrusion here will hit that cam and shift it one way or another. It depends on which direction your motor's turning. It's hard to turn that worm gear with my hands, but anyway, you get the idea. Next, you want to put the rack on, and the oblong part goes up through the shaft, and it goes on this motor. This eccentric. And remember, you want to line those gears up. We're going to have to turn it a little bit. Let's go this direction. Now, if you notice, this mark right here lines up with these two marks right here. Okay, now we can put neutral drain kit on. I don't want to use this old one. This is the one I took off, so I'm going to get a new neutral drain kit, and I'm going to put it in this transmission. Okay, when you get these kits, they come for two different style transmissions. These rack retainers are the only clue. One of them has these two holes right here, and one of them doesn't. This particular transmission that we're rebuilding has those two holes right there. So we're going to use this rack retainer, and it goes over the central post, and you have two different style Allen head bolts. One is they're two different ones, and you're not going to be able to put the wrong pieces in because these holes don't line up and these bolts don't fit. But anyway, you want to take the rack retainer and you want to rotate it. See, there's the hole right there. You want to rotate it until that hole lines up with it. We want to put that in. Okay, and this Allen screw is a 5/32 Allen screw, and I use a wrench, and you can just use an Allen wrench if you want. This ratchet may be at overkill, and you don't want to break anything, so you just want to snug it down. It's got Loctite on it. It's snug. Now these pieces fit on the rack retainer, and they all have the word up on them right here. So I know that this piece right here, this piece is called the spin pawl, and it fits over the Allen screw. This piece right here is called the trip lever, and it has the word up on it, and it's got this little post right here that fits in this square hole. So it goes right here, and this little post fits down in here like that. And this trip lever, or latch, I mean, this latch fits on this other post, and make sure you have the word up on it, like that. So these pieces fit in here like that, and they work in this with this spin gear cam to make this go into neutral. Now the magic of this little thing is this little button right here. As it goes around, it hits that trip lever, and it counts, kind of like a counter, and it allows this to either be stationary or slip on the spin gear. Now if it slips on the spin gear, the spin pawl will fly out, catch right here on the spin gear boss. It will fly out like this, and it will catch right there. See, it catches, and that's what makes it spin. I'm going to make a whole other video on just the workings of this thing. It's very complex, and I'm trying to figure out how I can do it to explain it to people so they would know how everything is working. Now if you do all this right, I usually have this on my bucket. If you do all this stuff correctly, you can turn this clockwise, and you can hear that the trip lever click, and it'll turn until it stops. That means when you're going clockwise and it stops, it means the spin pawl has connected to the spin boss. You want to put this metal washer on, and then you use a snap ring. Now you got to be careful with the snap ring, because it will fly off if you don't maintain the back side of it. So you want to hold your thumb or finger on the back side as you spread this out and push down. Now we have everything connected. Now this gear right here fits down the shaft, and it meshes with the nylon of this gear, and your clutch attaches to that. That's what spins your tub. This gear right here, spinning your clutch, and your clutch engages the spin tube. So we've disassembled and rebuilt this thing. And now you want to put this on, but we need to put some sealant on it. So what I want to do now, I've transferred the transmission over here to my transmission rebuild bucket. If you don't have one of these, you should build one. All it is a 5-gallon bucket with a couple of 2x2s that I cut on a bandsaw to match the curve and the distance between a transmission. And when you're working on a transmission, you can just rotate the shaft up like this and dump out the old oil if it needs dumping out. So anyway, we've got this built, and we need to put our lid back on it. But before that, we need to lubricate it. To lubricate it, you want to use like a heavyweight gear oil, 90 weight, 85. Let's see what I think it's 85. I think I have 85 weight. I couldn't find 90 weight, but if you can see right here, there's a shelf right there, and you want to just fill it up to right at the just cover that shelf right there, because any more than that and it'll sling out. The way gear oil is made is it's sticky, and it has mollies in it, and it makes it climb all over everything. And I use this little squeeze bottle. I buy the oil by the gallon, I use this little squeeze bottle to fill up the well. So now it's over the shelf, and I want to put some on top of the gear. And I'm going to get this cleaned back off, because your goop won't stick too well on it. Alright, and I use this ultra black gasket maker with it says oil resistant right here. And you want to, after you clean all this stuff off, you want to be sure to put this stuff on the inside of these holes, not on the outside. You want the inside, or the oil to be leaking through the screw spot. So I start right here and just run a pretty good bead all around. And I had a bubble in it. And you get a pretty good bead. Don't get it too thin. Alright, it won't work too well. There we go. Looks good to me. I don't see any gaps. Now, I didn't change any seals on this because the seals looked pretty good, and this is the main seal that leaks when it does leak, but it's always in a horizontal position, so it doesn't leak that often. And then you have the seals on the worm gear, and man, those are tough to change. If I have so many junk transmissions that if I find one leaking there, I take that transmission to the junkyard and pick up another one. But you might not have that luxury, so. Now, one thing I wanted to say here is that it's cheaper to buy this whole shaft with the agitator cam assembled on it than it is to buy the agitator cam kit and repair it. I think I've seen these for $74, and some of those agitator kits are $110. So just, if you need to change, if your machine has quit agitating, and it's because of the it's usually because of the splines on the shaft, or the agitate gear has stripped out, no longer work. If you have to do that, just go ahead and buy the shaft with the cam agitate cam already assembled on it, because that's the cheaper route than to try to change the cam by yourself with a kit. So anyway, when you're tightening these up, always go opposites. Tighten one here, then you go to the other side, tighten that one, then maybe on this side, and then on this side. And then on this side. And then once you have all these snugged down, you want to go back and give them a good white knuckle torque with your hand on it. And it's best to let this gasket material is set up a little while before you expose it to the oil that's in there. So if you just leave it on your bucket or wherever, as long as it's straight up and down, you'll have a new transmission. So we have a new rebuilt transmission that we can use when the next machine comes in that needs a new transmission. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Chip, out.